Are you tired of people always telling you what you want to hear and not what you need to hear? Me too. Are you ready to actually do something about it? Hi, I'm Loren Lahav, and for the past 30 plus years, I've been blessed to speak and to impact thousands of people around the world. I've shared the stage with the world's top thought leaders, including Barbara Walters, Tony Robbins, Barbara Corcoran, and Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm also a personal development, lifestyle, and business coach, event producer, and entrepreneur with businesses in over 25 countries. I'm a wife and a proud mama to 3 and a bonus mom to 1. Trust me when I tell you, it took me many years of buying into my old story of I'm not enough and lots of grit to finally let go of the BS. So I understand firsthand what it means and what it took. They don't call it the School of Hard Knocks for nothing. This podcast is my way of breaking down the BS filters of what we say, what we do, and how we interact with others. I will be sharing what worked for me, yet more importantly, what didn't work for me. This is a no fluff podcast where we will address real life issues that seem to surface when you least expect it, relationship conflict and breakdowns, and real solutions. I will share from my life experiences and those of other everyday heroes, as well as the world's top experts, are all here to help you grow through the process of letting go and finally expressing your true voice, who you are and what you stand for. In a world of political correctness and living our lives on social media, it's hard to know what is real. And are you taking in so much information but not applying what you've learned? In my life, I always look to the people who understand what I'm going through and are willing to get honest and forthcoming with me to help me grow through these challenges. Trust me, I've had them all, and I'm going to take the time to be as real as possible and get to solutions. I've had financial issues, parenting issues, marriage issues, emotional issues. You know, the list goes on. I've learned from my challenges, I've grown from them, and continue to learn from them. I see them now as opportunities. With this podcast, we're going to tune up our lives. I'll be your cup of espresso to get you through whatever you're going through in your life that's holding you back, to give you that confidence and trust of knowing someone is there to help and guide you, yet you have to do the work. So strap in, hang on tight, and let's get real. All right, well, I am here with one of my favorite people on the planet. You knew you were one of my favorite people on the planet, though, didn't you, Jen?
Of course, because you're one of mine.
Of course you knew, my Scorpio sister. Jen is an extraordinary woman, extraordinary mama, creative genius, all heart. She tells you how it is, and we've been, we were supposed to be starting our discussion 30 minutes ago, but we ended up having a beautiful, beautiful conversation, which I think is what is going to make this time together right now even more special, because we started that way. And sometimes people, I think, rush into things. Is something that we were just talking about, like rush into, okay, let's just go record this podcast or record this discussion instead of really connecting, right? And so that I really want to make that a priority for myself, is always making sure to create that connection before anything is scheduled. So when we were putting together, like, how long do we want to do these podcasts for, or these interviews? And I'm like, well, let's make sure we do them for an hour. And I remember talking to Danica when she was planning, and she's like, do you really need an hour? And then she goes, oh, you do need an hour, because for you got to make sure that you're connected before anything else. So thank you, Jen, for taking the time to do this. We were talking about the On Your Worth event. I'm so excited that you're going to be there. I have learned so much from you, just in so many different ways. Your commitment, your dedication, your humor, your boldness. I just adore you. And we were talking about something that I think is a big thing about women owning their worth. And it was funny because, and I'll let you talk about what you really wanted to share, but it was funny because I was on this event this past Friday, and someone was talking about the top 2 trending things, the ones that get the most likes, the ones that get the most view, as influencers, as you can see my little fingers going up and down in quotations. Guess what the number one is? Want to guess?
I'm going to guess something about the diet industry.
Oh, close, but it's something. How about I'll give you a little bit of hit. It's something that you and I aren't wearing right now.
Oh.
Makeup tutorials.
Oh.
Makeup, neither one.
It's also Sunday morning at 8 a.m. So.
Exactly.
But I could use some of those. I could definitely use them. But
makeup tutorials, number one. Number two is actually fitness videos, like with regards to those two things. But we were talking once again about, actually our discussion before this, right, was really about emotional wellness for ourselves. And I love what you were talking about. You just entered this beautiful new welcome to the 50s. We love it, right? I love it. I feel like I finally know who I am. And like, this is me. Like I've always pretty much said that this is me, but you were talking about the body image. And could you share a little bit about what you think is something about what for all of us to remember about owning our worth and what happened for you just a couple of weeks ago, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I've been thinking a lot about your event, and I've been thinking about what owning your worth means. And I think there's so many different arenas in which we need to own our worth as women, as humans, as, in all the different roles that we play in the world. And, I know you have amazing speakers coming to talk about, money and your finances and your work life and your relationships and your, all the amazing things that are going to be at this event, basically. But the thing that I've been really thinking a lot about lately, and that I'm really excited to talk about at the event, is owning your body. And I think that, and there's a really amazing book out by this woman. Her name is Sonia Renee Taylor. It's called The Body Is Not an Apology. And it's all of the ways in which we think our bodies are wrong. They need to be fixed. They need to be different. We need to change them. We need to mold them. We need to starve them. We need to exercise them. We need to change them. And this idea, this sort of cause and effect thinking, like, when my body is like this, then I will be able to do that. And how that becomes a barrier between us and so many things that we want in our life, right? So it's like, oh, I can't do that until I'm a size whatever, or I can't do that until my makeup is done perfectly, or I can't do that until, like, all of the ways in which we create these rules and these ideas around our bodies and the way we look and the way we dress and the way we appear in the world, that stop us.
And I love what you said, because it's really keeps us distracted. I love the language that you used there before we were talking about that. So it keeps us out of the game. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think
I was just telling you the story about a couple weeks ago. I went on a hike with two of my very best girlfriends, very, very successful women. One of them is the head of child psychology at a very prominent hospital in San Francisco. One of them was the president and chief strategy officer of her company for years. And we were on a hike, and the first thing one of my friends brought up was what diet she was doing that week. And the next thing I knew, we were walking for 45 minutes and everybody was sharing about how they ate, what they eat and how they eat. And I just, like, it hit me on this hike. I was like, do we think that 3 successful men who are the head of their companies or at the top of their game go on a hike and this is what they talk about? Like, no, they're talking about how to get further in their game. They're networking. They're talking about, different stuff basically than what their eating patterns are. And it really hit me that those are the things that women talk about when they get together, that we're so influenced by diet culture. We're so concerned by it. And it really is a distraction. Like, One of my favorite things somebody said to me recently was, and I will talk about this in my talk when at the event, is this concept. The line is, who would you be without that thought? And we all have a thought, a recurring thought. Some of us have many of them, but there's really, I feel like for me, at least, I have one or two kind of consistent thoughts that are like my self-doubt thoughts or my barrier thoughts, right? And every time something big comes up, that little thought flashes in my head and makes me doubt, like, if I should do this or can do this. Excuse me. And I think for a lot of people, that thought is often around their bodies. Like, you know, someone invites you to go rock climbing and you say, oh, I can't do that. My body won't do that. You know, someone invites you to give a presentation in front of a crowded room. Oh, I can't do that. I'm not attractive enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not, you know, whatever enough. And then for me, the next step has really been like this idea of like, who would I be without that thought? What would I do if that thought didn't exist? And where does that thought stop me from really doing things in the world, you know? And so I just think for women and, or, you know, people who identify as women, it's really embedded in our culture, and it's really a distraction from us getting our stuff done.
And I think that it starts, you know, we were talking about this whole thing about with regards to it's never too early to own your worth and it's never too late to own your worth. And even this whole thing around body, how early that it happens, right? And
so early.
And how long that it goes. I remember taking Asher, she really wanted to do ballet. I think, do you remember this? And I took her to a very prominent, you know, the place, and she went and did the tryouts. And and I came out of the room and Asher was standing like just a little to the side, and the teacher comes up to me and she goes, you know, she's got like all that going on. And I looked, I'm like, oh my gosh, like really in front of my 6-year-old that you're going to do that with regards to it? Yeah. And I remember saying to myself, don't worry, I don't want her to be here anyway with regards to it, because I knew the importance though of the community and the environment. And we were talking about, you know, why for me this is so important, and it's that community, why a lot of the people that are on this stage at this event are people, the community that's helped me own my worth, you know, and remember my worth. My mom was sharing, I think it was about 6 years ago, and she's 86 now, you know, she'll be 87. Imagine that, after 86 is 87. But she was talking about a friend of hers who was addicted to Sudafed at 80 years old because she wanted to be skinny. Because I was saying to my mom some ideas of things that she could do for her, just her health. And my mom said to me, she goes, oh, Loren, don't you get it? Women don't want to care about being healthy. They want to be skinny. And I was like, oh my gosh, at 80 something years old, like you said, like what have we done to get people to get them out of the game? What keeps us out of the game? So let me ask you a question. When those thoughts do go through your head, because they go through my head, obviously, as well. It's funny because part of my manifestation class, I say the number one thing in order for you to really manifest what you want to have in your life, Daphne agrees with us, was the number one thing that you have to stop to really manifest that vision that you have for your life is to get that when I blank, then I will blank, right? And it's funny that you said that. But what is it that gets you to take action? What helps you kind of break through that thought for yourself?
Wait, are you saying, so you do teach that kind of cause and effect thinking in certain realms?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Especially with regards, I always say that it's you have to get rid of that when I blank, then I will blank. Then number two is you have to, you know, give yourself permission. Mm-hmm. Right. And then I'm big on scripting. Right. As you know, I've got a gazillion journals, and just like I talk about having that emotional colonics, because we like have that big vision in front of us, we have it inside of us, and then we're like, we need a big poo to get it out. That's what own your worth is, right? How long have I been talking about wanting to do this event? Right. Yeah. I had to get rid of the whole when I blank, then I will blank. Right. Then I had to say, give myself permission. And then I had to just get it out and just release it to the world. So same thing for you, right? Like with regards to when you did Motherland, right? What happened? What got you to take action on that amazing film that you did, where you got rid of the when I blank, then you blank, and then you gave yourself permission? What happened? What did you do?
Well, I think that I think people get confused a lot about like the order of life. So I think that like a lot of people think like first comes your past, and then that informs your present, and then your present informs your future. And I think what I've realized, and I didn't invent this myself, like I learned this in my 20s probably, and then I've really like incorporated into my life, is this idea that actually your future comes first. Like you have to invent your future first. And that's like, I'm looking at you, I'm looking at everything on the wall behind you. Like you have to design it, you have to create it, you have to envision it, you have to see your future first. And then based on that future, that is what you do in the present. Like your future informs your present, not your past. Like what the actions you take are based on this future that you have created. These dreams, these ideas, these visions, whatever they are, whatever you want to call them, like that informs your present. And then at every moment as you behave in that present based on your future, those things become your past. And then your past is just in your past. Like your past is just done. It's over. It's not something you're carrying around with you. It's not something that makes you who you are. I mean, how many people think that who they are is defined by what they've been through? And it's bullshit. Like it's over. That stuff is it. I mean, you learn from experiences. Experiences are great, but you don't have to carry them around with you. You don't have to be burdened by them. They don't have to be suitcases that you are lugging with you everywhere you go. Like you get to complete your past. And that's,
I love that.
And a lot of time that takes work. Like I don't mean to like trivialize that. Like that's not an easy thing to do, to put down those suitcases. And many people have had some really traumatic, really awful things happen in their lives. And those suitcases are hard to put down, but you're not your suitcases. Like they're not who you are. And so I think that piece, like when you can really like integrate that into how you live your life, like your load becomes so much lighter, right? Like it's so freeing to put that shit down. Am I allowed to swear on this? It's so freeing to put that shit down.
I'm just amening this so very much. I love that. I think that is what inspires both of us. I think for many of us, we let that vision of the future affect our actions that we take for today. And I think Wayne Dyer said it, you have to look at your past as kind of a wake from like when you go water skiing and there's that wake behind you, it's there to help move you forward with regards to where you really want to go. So so is it the vision part that pulls you? Is that what gets you out of the when I blank, then what is it for you that gets you to do
It's like the knowing and the expectation that my life is beautiful, right? That my life is amazing, that my life is my own creation, that my life is whatever I want it to be. And it's that knowing, it's that reversing of the order of things, right? So it's like, and going back to the body stuff, it's like, I used to think, and I still think sometimes, I'm not saying this is like 100% healed, but I think that what you like to call the stinking thinking is when I lose weight, then I will be beautiful. When I get my hair done just right, then I will be beautiful. And it's like, no, when I am beautiful, my body will rise to the occasion. Like my body, if I believe I am beautiful, my body will be beautiful. If I believe I am beautiful, like I will appear beautiful in the world. And how many people do you know that is true for? Like, is anybody looking at Oprah Winfrey thinking she's unattractive? like she doesn't need to get skinny first, right? Like it's not a requirement. And that's one of the things I've been noticing, like you were talking earlier about, you know, social media and generations, right? So like you were telling your story about your mom, there's a whole younger generation of women, you know, in the, you know, millennials and younger, who are, if you can get on Instagram and you can, you know, hashtag fat is beautiful, there are thousands of them. They have massive followings. They are owning their bodies. They are owning fashion. They are owning dance. They are like going, they are in their bodies. They don't care what size they are, and they are owning it. Lizzo is one of them. You know, I mean, it's really like the younger generation is really getting that, like, you can be beautiful at any size, any shape, any color. And that, you know, and I think for those of us that are older, there's a lot to learn there. You know,
A lot to learn.
it's really
I think
beautiful.
also about owning their voice is a big thing. I know that for my, you know, for Asher specifically, she, you know, she's been a big one about owning her voice and owning her friends, you know, owning who is in her life.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot from her. She had a situation happen and she's like, Mom, I'm good about this person not being in my life anymore. She goes, I've had anxiety about it. And it's somebody that goes to her school.
Yeah.
So I said, you're good. She goes, the anxiety that it's cost me has affected my friendship. I'm like, oh my God, I'm hearing this from a 15-year-old. How awesome is that? She goes, I'm good, Mom. I'm good. I mean, what lessons we can learn from them as well. I love that you said that too. And I think, I don't know if I shared this before with you or if I've shared it on here. And I know there's a lot of people that I wanted to go and do this experience once, I guess. I think I was 15. And my mom, and it had something to do with beauty. And my mom said, wow, I haven't done my job. I let you down. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she said, if you need someone to tell you you're beautiful, then I haven't done my job. She said, I thought that my job was to teach you to just own you know, that you know that you're beautiful, and through how you show up in the world, of how you, you know, give back to the world. And I was like, oh my God. So that's been a big driver for me. Like, what? See, Daphne agrees with us, you know, that regards to, you know, how do we just own it and just not let that outside world is noise, like you said, that takes us out of the game. So what would be, right?
Well, then that's the next step, right? So like if we as women think about how much time, how much energy, how much money we spend thinking about trying to fix, trying to change our bodies and our appearance. If we took all of that out of the equation, put it all in a closet over here and said, what would I do with that money, that time, that space? If all of that was out of my brain and I was never thinking about it, what would I do then? And then you really get like how this is designed as a distraction, right? Like we're talking about multi-billion-dollar industries that are literally designed to distract us and take our money and take our time, take our energy, and make us focus on something that doesn't necessarily need to be our main focus. And what else will we be capable of? What else will we be creating? What else will we be doing? What else would we, how would we be running the world? Probably. So, you know, just the things to think about, you know, things to think about.
So where do you think for us to remember, right? To go back, you and I were just talking about what our big visions are. It's very interesting, right? About what some people would look and go, oh, why would you do that? Right? Like, why would you do that? What would you say to people, like for you, when you decided to change your focus and focus on different things, of like having to look different or be different? Where have you put your energy in that it feels really great? Like mine big one was, I'll just share mine one yesterday. Like yesterday, something happened for me. I would go to Coffee Bean every day. And because we know that sweet tea just runs through my DNA. But when I usually go through the drive-through, and yesterday, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, I went inside and I noticed that they had a drive for toys for kids, right? And I noticed that the bins were empty. And I just was like, oh my God, first of all, why did I come in? I noticed that the drive ends in 2 days. So yesterday, people were talking about, have you done your holiday shopping? Have you done your this and that? Everybody's talking about your holiday shopping. And I was in the middle of an event and I was like, dang, that drive ends tomorrow. And I just was like, how many of my friends really need a gift? Really, do they really need a gift? And I have a list of how much money I would normally spend and doing the things or donate to an organization, which I will still do. But I went and I was like, what if I just took that money and just filled those bins, for those kids, versus like buying whatever type of stuff for other people with regards to that. And it's interesting, right? Like now I'm like, oh my God. I mean, even though I do that anyway, I didn't, just because that's what I love to do, just filling the bins and seeing the people at Coffee Bean at the moment, like seeing them.
What did you do? Did you walk in like with a big bag and pour it in the bin?
Yes, they had.
So awesome.
I had 5 bags. I have 5 bags and they had to go get an extra box to fill the bins.
And you're just like, you brought it into Coffee Bean and you just filled it up in front of everybody there?
Mm-hmm.
God, I love you. You're so rad. So awesome.
But what I was hoping to do was wake people up and go, when does this bin, when I go, the drive's not over till tomorrow. The drive is like, it's today, but the drive ends tomorrow with regards to everything. But what's been something for you? Like, for you that gets you to, when you don't focus so much on all of those things anything for you?
Well, now I need to go fill a bin. I mean, I don't think I mean, that's a hard one to top, Lo. I mean, for me, I think I just feel like it's more like everything, right? It's more like, my work is like better. Like I'm, my family is better. My relationships are better. Like my, but also mostly my relationship with myself. I mean, and for me, that's really like, and I just turned 50 a couple weeks ago. Like, and I really see like the beauty of getting older, and so many people are afraid of getting older. And yeah, like I look at pictures of myself 10 years ago, I look older, but,
yes.
And it, and you have those moments of like, that's kind of a bummer. But then other moments I'm like, but I'm so madly in love with myself right now. Like I'm like, and none of that actually matters, and all of those ideas that I used to have when I was younger about like, back to that, like, when I get this, then I will feel this way. And it applies to our bodies. It applies to money. When I'm richer, then I'll be able to do this. It applies to work. When I get this promotion, then I'll be able to do this. It applies to every area. It's like all the places where we're like waiting for the external world, something to happen in the external world to give us permission or validation on the internal world. And that's backwards. You actually have to give yourself the permission and the validation first internally before anything happens in the external world. That is how you manifest things in the external world. That is how they happen, right? And I love that you used that word permission earlier, because that's like one of my favorite words too. And I have to find it. I lost it, but a few years back, I had a bracelet made for myself.
Yep.
And I wore it everywhere, and it said permission granted.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I've caught myself waiting for other people to give me permission to do what I wanted to do all the time. And whether, and I'm a filmmaker, so I couldn't make my film until someone else funded it. I couldn't make my film until someone else, said yes and gave me the green light. I was like, applying for things and getting rejected, and I was trying to fundraise and not having enough money. And it was like, I can't do my art until I get this, and I can't do my art until I get this. And it was like waiting for that permission slip to do my art. And then I finally realized, like, no, you actually just have to do your art and be an artist. And the minute, and this has happened to me on every project I've ever done, if I start it, the money shows up.
Yeah.
If I start it, the people show up, the support shows up. I have to start first.
Yep.
I can't sit around waiting to start anything, because nothing ever happens when I do that. It is like stagnation central.
I'm like amening. I'm like in my head, I'm like amening, because you've seen the same thing for me. And it's why I wait, it's like I was waiting for so long. I'm like, who the hell am I waiting for to do this? Like, who? And like you said, people are like texting, like, finally, you're doing this, and you're playing at the level, and you're bringing in what we need, and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh my gosh. And like you said, like the sponsors are showing up, and the right people are showing up. But like, you're right. Like, you have to start first. So I love this. This has been such a great conversation, and that's really what's most important for me. And I know people got some nuggets from this. Why do you think people must come to our experience of Own Your Worth? Why do you think?
Yes. I think that one of your superpowers is really, well, you just bring so much in what you personally deliver. But then I really think one of your superpowers is your ability to synthesize all of the people that into something where you're bringing and we've had a couple meetings now with the people who are coming to this event, and I really can see like how every single person who's going to be there is going to complement each other and create this like super beautiful, well-rounded program of conversations around owning your worth, because owning your worth is like a big topic. It's very broad, but each of these speakers is going to be distilling something very specific in the realm of what that means. And I think that's really beautiful. And I think just the opportunity to like connect in this way with like-minded people, and to hopefully have it be like the beginning of a community. Like, I think that's really, I think a lot of people are feeling isolated after the past couple of years. We've all in some way or another had our lives change. And, many people changed location. Many people changed how they work. Many people changed, how their families are organized. Like there's been a lot of change for a lot of people over the last couple of years. So I think I see how it's going to be, a grounding in that way of, being with other people. Some of us have, a lot of us, I'll speak for myself, have really forgotten how to be with other people in a lot of ways. Like, we're out of practice.
Right.
So I think I just think it's going to be really special. And, anybody who knows you knows that any event of yours is not to be missed.
I am grateful that you're going to be there. I think that you've added so much value just right here. I know that you offered to do something in the Own Your Worth Lounge, which is really that community that, like you said, we're creating. It's not just an event. It's adding value these next few months before the event, and then making sure to keep that momentum going afterwards, that everybody knows that no matter where they are in the world, that someone's going to be there for them. And I just want to thank you, because you've been one of those someones for me, and we met in a very unique way. So, but that's the beauty. I think that's what we've lived. But it's pretty much like what you just said. We just have to go first. And right now the world needs us more than ever to just go first.
Yeah.
And I think that when we can bring all of these, people together just to understand and see that vision, then we'll be able to make the change. We won't have so much fear. Like you said, that we were talking about what's the superpower. You said that, it's not that I don't have the fear. I've got the fear. I just like embrace that fear and like, let's just do this. So we're here to help you embrace it. We're here to help you embrace it, and just to give yourself permission to just go and do it. Right. That's what this community and that's what this movement's about. So thank you, my dear friend.
Thank you, my dear friend.
Make sure you go to Own Your Worth, www.ownyourworthexperience.com, and join us either interactively or join us live. We're going to be in the studio. So thanks, Jen.
How awesome was today? Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and invite your friends to join as well. I'm here for you with fabulous content, great guests, and lots of giveaways. To learn more of how I have taken what I've learned, applied it to my life, helped others find their true voice, text TRUE to 26786, which will give you my top tune-ups and a complimentary 15-minute discovery call with one of our coaches. And remember, keep in touch with me on Instagram at I am Loren Lahav, Facebook Loren Lahav Official, Clubhouse Loren Lahav. Make sure you text TRUE, TRUE, to 26786. Text TRUE, TRUE, to 26786. And remember to always stay true to the amazing person you are.